Good morning, this is Gene. Got a nice little story to talk to you today. A couple weeks back, I actually did a video about cruppy pundits, about their myopic views of the politics here in the United States, and also about how they were bashing Ralph Ranick. Um, Although I think you can have a criticism you have with any coach, you can. I mean, Manchester United is third as far as points since he started, and we probably should have 6 or 8 more points. And that's really down to the players not finishing their chances. We've created the most chances since he showed up, so it's not really Ralph's fault. They basically said he's not real or whatever, but that's behind this. That's not really the point of this video. Today, I normally turn on Grummy Pundits when I'm walking out. And I don't usually start when they start. So I go out to like 9 o'clock in the morning. They've already started at 8. So I back it up to the very beginning. And I thought they were going to talk about the issue at Chelsea with their owner. And they did. And Tom Rennie basically had to come on first and just said a lot of things that you can't really argue with too much. Of course, nobody in the world is for what's going on in Ukraine. Just because you have a different opinion about something doesn't mean that you somehow support the war that's going on in Ukraine. But he continually went on and basically said everything is facts, 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 and facts. And by that, where he's at his level, and he's on a radio station saying this stuff, it's just like you just believe everything he's got to say, because he says, I should stop looking at news reports. Well, you know what he's watching. He's watching PBC or he's watching CNN, and this is where he gets his news from. I'm not going to sit there and say that what he's saying isn't right or wrong, but when he says things are facts, facts, and facts, then he's telling the audience that there will be no retort to that. And he called people online saying certain things positive about Roman, and they're bad people because they believe this, that John Terry is a bad person. He may be for other reasons, but just because he's supporting Roman Abramovich right now, it doesn't make him anything. Maybe he's not informed as much. Nobody's really informed, but we do know this, is that the FA, the EPL, Chelsea Football Club, approved the sale to him when they all knew about the stuff that he had in his background. They all knew that he was friends with Putin. So he's going on, and I'm like, okay, the hypocrisy when he says that his news sources are somewhat factual, when we all know that the BBC is no different than RT from Russian news. This is their arm of their own propaganda. I mean, some of it might be right, but they definitely have a leaning on it, a very liberal side of it. And he's clearly a liberal. He continually talks things almost passive-aggressively against the conservatives in England. Now, I'm not a conservative in England. I'm probably I don't know what I am. I'm a classical liberal. In the English world, that means that I'm probably a moderate conservative. But I'm for free speech. And I don't like the fact that they get on there and say what they're saying is actually correct, and they have nobody that has a different opinion, and they just say it's right, it's right, it's right. And then he kept going on, and at the end of his 4 or 5 minute rant, he had to bring Trump into it, and that he got finance from people in Russia. And this is the same bullshit that we had to deal with in the country the last 4 years about Russiagate. Is he saying that someone in Russia actually financed Trump? Or are you talking about the Facebook people, the 100,000 that they put on there for helping Trump? Was there somebody that was in Russia that's got a lot of money that supported Trump? Or is he saying the government of Russia did this? Whatever. This is the same thing that we had to deal with 2 different impeachments in this country, this hoax about this. And he's talking about this as well. So I'm assuming, after all that rant, that maybe Tommy Smyth would come back and maybe have more of a logical take on it, and saying, I understand why some people are saying he's a good guy because he does this stuff in the community. He helped Palestinians and all that stuff. But no, he just basically said, I agree with everything that you said. So what I did is after I got home, I sent a tweet to both of them. And Tommy Smyth actually responded to me. And he's now had these conversations with me on Twitter, but he won't really answer my question. And now I just basically said it's firstly, my first tweet said that it's very laughable that people are football pundits are talking about political issues when they have nobody there that has a different version of what it is or a different opinion about something like that. And then, of course, he came back, as they always do. Oh, you can't talk about me, or, how do you know about my background in politics? I could be able to say what I want to say, which, of course, he can. So I responded to him. I said, well, I just want to know your stance on the Russian students in the United States are being threatened of being expelled from universities in the United States. There are Congress people in this country that want them out of universities because they're Russian. I'm not comparing Roman against Russian students, but they're both feeling the wrath of whatever is going on right now. And so I said, so if somebody has got a friend, we should immediately say that they're non grata. And I said, and you're an Irishman, right? I said, I'm sure you have people in your family. I'm being paraphrased. I'm probably saying it more damaging, I guess. I said, basically, your acquaintances there, they might have ties to something in Irish. Now, I didn't say the IRA. I didn't say anything like that. And of course, he had to come back right away. And he said, what is this with this guy? Is he anti-Irish? Oh, I'm anti-Irish because I bring up a statement that happened or an event that happened that still could happen. I'm not saying he's part of any terrorist organization. I'm saying, are we going to sit there and look at your friends and your acquaintances and then say we're going to get rid of you? The hypocrisy that I'm talking about, and I tried another tweet. I said to him, I'm all about what he said. Am I anti-Irish or just stupid? Or just being foolish. My experience is whatever. So I said, no, I'm for free speech. And I think that if you're going to have that type of discussion, you should have somebody that might have a different opinion. It doesn't have to be way on the other side, but somebody might come in and give a viewpoint of it. They might say, hey, we should talk about the Premiership allowed this to happen. The FA allowed it to happen. Chelsea football team allowed this to happen. The rest of the owners in the EPL allowed this to happen. And there are people and owners right now that probably have a really bad background that we allowed to come in, and our own owners in the Premiership. To me, it's hypocrisy, or hypocritical, or whatever. What these people do, and I say thieves. Now they're going to use that word. Is they say, now I'm anti-Irish. That's interesting. I have some Irish in me. But when you actually talk about stuff, that's what they do. It's like if you talk about, I think that maybe, just maybe, that Israel has too much influence in our politics in the United States, and now that's anti-Semitic. It's anti-Semitic. And then, of course, a couple of people actually had to white knight for him. I don't know why he'd need it. They had to bring up the fact that I have less than 200 followers. I have 113, I think. Not that I give a shit. And I'm just looking for clout or something like that. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm saying if you're going to have this discussion on a football show, and yes, they should have it because the guy that owns one of the football teams is the guy that's being involved by it. And we should have that conversation. But when the two pundits sit there and say, whatever you say, I agree with, regardless of what they say, and they bring shit up that's not true, and nobody is there to actually go back and have a debate with them. And now I was doing other things, but apparently, because I said what I said, and it was during while he was still on the show, and at the end of the show, when I got back in the car, apparently they didn't. I don't know if they named me or not, but they said apparently you have problems with you have friends in Ireland. You have to be looked after or looked at. My tweet never said friends; it's acquaintances. Because I wouldn't want to think that we had friends that were part of that. But I'm just saying, Ireland is not that small a country. It's very possible that he knows people that were involved with that shit. And now, should we go back now because he knew these people, that we should now go, and I guess it's different, obviously. Roman was a governor in one of the states there, different level of the elite. Obviously, Tommy is not, but clearly when it comes to being online, he has a higher following than I'll ever have. But I was just trying to get the point across to him. When you're going to have these type of conversations, you can't sit there and say whatever this man says, and he continually says it's factual. No matter what I said, whatever that comes out of my mouth is factual. And that's just factual because he says it. And then you just sit there and agree with all of it. And then when somebody calls you out on it, you say, no, I didn't say that. He said that in his tweet. I didn't say that about Trump. But you agreed with everything that the other man said. So either you agree with him or you don't. You didn't say, wait a second, that Trump thing I don't know about. I don't have any proof that he did this. There is a very, and again, you should say whatever you want to say. It's your show. But I would assume that you would have somebody that might have a different opinion. And I'm not saying I want to be that person. I'm not very good at talking because of what happened to me with my strokes. But there's obviously people out there that will say there's a reason why these things are happening. And I don't have any problem with people saying he shouldn't. I don't think a lot of the people that said anything that Tom Rennie got so upset about were really saying he should still be the owner of Chelsea. They said that he's a good man. Can people change? Can you have redemption in this world? I don't know. I don't know the man. These guys don't know him, but they know they're in that. So they've known forever that he's had these ties, and now this is what it said. I'm not saying they haven't said it before in the past. I don't know. I've never seen anything come out saying that he should have been gone 6 years ago when Crimea happened 7 years ago. All the shit that's happened in eastern Ukraine for the last 7 years. Anyway, so I don't know where it's going to go. I'm not going to continually go on with it. Obviously, they don't have a huge following on Twitter, but the fact that I don't know if I'm going to go through and actually look at the old broadcast to see if they actually named me. I don't think they would, but they definitely they were talking about my tweets, and I don't care if he calls me that say that I'm foolish or whatever. That's fine. That's their opinion. My issue is some of the people that responded to him said that there's a problem because in my bio on Twitter I say I'm America first, and somehow that's a bad thing now. I'm like, okay, I served this country for 24 years, and I was a liberal during the entire time I was there. I voted for all Democrats, but I still believed America first. And do I have to explain what America first means? Do I really have to? That means we're going to be best when it comes to education. We're going to be best when it comes to factories, best in healthcare. And obviously we're not. And I want that to happen. I want us to get the best doctors in this country. I want the best healthcare for our citizens. I want the best education for our students. I want everything, and that's what America first is. It has nothing to do with the color of my skin or whether I'm conservative or liberal. It has to be that I want America to be America first, because America's first, that makes the rest of the world good as well. Everybody still, regardless of all the problems that we have in this country, people still want to come here. And I'm not here I'm not waving my flag around saying that America is the greatest of all time. We have problems, and most of our problems are our own. It's like we have a great opportunity in this life, and I think because we have all this, that we have a reason to just sit there and complain about it. But you're not going to see, I have a flag out front, but I don't have flags. I don't do any of this stuff. I don't put my patriotism on display. I have a hat that says I'm retired from the Air Force. I'm proud for the service that I had. Believe me, a lot of the things that we've done the last 30 years, I didn't support, even when I was in the military. I know a lot of things that, they can talk about football, and they can talk about what's going on in English and Ireland, and they have fans, people that they know, that they bring on their show, and they can have that. They can call me foolish, whatever, but I know things that they don't know, especially when it comes to what's going on in Intel and all that stuff. I know things, and I can't really say here, but it's not exactly what we're seeing right now. It's not, but Ukrainians are not the the government of the of Ukraine is not, I don't know, the knight on white horses or whatever. It's not, okay? It's all shades of gray there. Putin is a murderer, okay? And he's done a lot of stupid things in his life. But from a tactical position, I understand what they're trying to do there. And you can't sit there and not talk what's happened the last 7 years on the eastern part of Ukraine. That the Ukrainian government has killed a lot of Russians, or not Russians, but Russian Ukrainians. And there is something there. And there was a treaty that is not being enforced on either side. I'm not saying that's the reason why he went into the Ukraine. And I don't know how this is going to be. I don't think it's going to look great for anybody if he gets into Kiev and he's just driving right down the middle of the street with all their tanks. It'll look bad. It won't look good to the world. Nobody, again, I start off this video very simply. The people that are online, except crazy people, and if they want to call me that, that's fine. Nobody supports this, okay? And because you have a different opinion about whether Roman Abramovich should lose ownership of Chelsea, doesn't mean that you're for the war or you're for Putin or anything like that. It's just like, it's the hypocrisy that we have. I've seen this before. We got a person in LA who owned the Clippers, who had a mistress who was 60 years younger than him, and he basically told him to stop, screwing around with people. Now, he said certain colorful language, and that lost him his job, or his team. Now, I'm sure probably Roman has more skeletons in his closet, but tell me if you're going to have this conversation online or on your talk show, talk about how they decide, how the FA and the EPL say, we approve this ownership to come into the Premiership. How do they do it? Do you have somebody that investigates them or something like? Did they do any of that stuff? And maybe that would be a good show to talk about how this is happening, or maybe it should be reformed so we don't have this again. Because if you do that, you know what's going to happen. There are people who think that the Glazers should no longer have the team because of their morality, and some people would say, or the people that owns Manchester City. Everybody has got, and when you got billions of dollars, you might have something like that you did things that are not ethically right. Again, it's doubtful that Roman supports this action in the Ukraine. Again, he's not Putin. And again, I'm a Manchester United fan. I don't give a shit about. I bet Chelsea goes in the ground. Do you like the way that they play now? And they've always been a good rival for us. But this is stupid. Now, again, I have no issue. I can go back on the phone now, and maybe they're saying more stuff. Maybe I'll look back. Like I said, maybe I'll look back on the podcast this morning and see if they actually called me out. But when he says I'm foolish, or what did he tell me? I'm not. He basically said that, in his own ways, like, don't really come after him because he has a following, and I guess he'll get me. Which is, whatever. What are you going to do to me? I've had 3 strokes. I've had cancer twice, served twice, or 24 years. Been on terrorist attacks. It's like a little dude who played football, who talks about football. And again, his opinion might be 100% right? And so could Tom Rennie could be. But all I want for them to do is, if you're going to have this type, if we're going to talk about football, and they still have their own biases when it comes to that. We know that Rennie is a West Ham supporter, whatever. But if you're going to have this conversation, have a real conversation. Have people on there that knows about what you would now say why he should no longer have that team. Has he done something since he's been there that would say he should no longer have that team? Or is it just because he used to be or is friends with Putin? And also, explain to me why all these teams can't do anything, because whether club or national teams can't play for Russia, or if you're a club team, you can't play. I have no problem with them changing where the Champions League final is. I think that's fair. get about Russia, make it. I don't know about Paris should have been the place. But kind of listen to the guy from Manchester City, Richards, saying it should be in the United States. I think that'd be great. Do it either like SoFi in LA or have it, I don't know, where else would it be? Somewhat really new state, maybe even where Dallas is, have 100,000 people in the final. I think that'd be great too. Or maybe at some point in the future. It's just, you never think that they're actually going to respond, but obviously he was doing it while he was doing his show. So I'm assuming that somewhere on there he was the whole thing come up because they all said it at the end of the show. At the end, he says you obviously have problems with friends in Ireland. So it was a response to one of my tweets, and my tweets never said about friends. It said acquaintances, and I said, hey, it's the same thing I'm trying to get across. Now again, people like this, when they respond, they never actually respond to what you just said. The only thing he said the first time is said, how dare you not know my politics or whatever. And then I try to respond to that. He never responds to that. He responds to, oh, you said something about this, so you're anti-Irish. I'm against the IRA or any type of bombings that happened during that time. And again, I'm not saying he has any knowledge of all this. I'm not. I'm just saying when you make this little, I know Roman's different because they actually are friends. But we go down that road, and where I said, where do you draw the line? He's two cousins from me, so am I parted to that? It's very, very. I don't like going down that road. I don't. I think we have to look at his. I'm not talking about Roman. His stewardship of Chelsea, from a football perspective, very well. They won 2 Champions Leagues. A lot of premierships, a lot of other trophies. You can't really fault him for that. I think in the community, as far as I know, he's been really good. And who's to say? Again, is there a path to redemption? If we're going to say that Putin is evil, he's the devil incarnate, he is Hitler, okay? Then what if somebody is no longer revolved with him? We don't know. Is there a video with him? There may be. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't really, unless he all of a sudden said the Champions League final and Chelsea's there again, and they show up and there's Putin with them, and he has the head of Zelensky in his pocket and he brings it out. Then you could say, yeah, I guess he's probably the problem there. And everybody's upset because of how he got his money. I'm like, okay, all right. Is that really what this is? It's the fact that he's part of the mob in Russia, and he got all that money, and he became more legitimate, went and got a football team and did this. This is done before. We did this in the United States forever. Watch Godfather for crying out loud. Michael did that. He tried to get legitimate. Obviously, it's fictional, but it's not really. They tried to do that. They tried to become more legal and legitimate. Anyway, it's like it's all Italians. I mean, I have no issue with any of his response, really. He can say I'm fluish and all, but the idea that what they all do. Oh, now you're anti-Irish. No, dude, that's not what I was saying. I was like, where do we draw the line? Let's say you're in a picture of, I'm sure there probably is a picture somewhere out there with Tommy Smyth with Roman Abramovich. Somewhere at some press junket that they took a picture together. Now, somebody else can say, oh my God, you know him. That's basically it. So I'll post this. I mean, the last time I did this, I got like 30 views. I'm not expecting to get anything. I don't think I'm going to send it to him because I don't really want this to, I mean, this is just my opinion and his opinion. My issue is how it starts off when Tom Rennie says, this is facts, this is facts, this is facts, and which means that everybody that says what they said online in the last couple days that somewhat supported Roman, not about his famed friendship with Putin, but they're all wrong because these are all facts, facts, and facts. And then he has to bring up Trump. And he's basically doing the same shit that we had to deal with in this country for the last 3 or 4 years that stopped us from making the country better, okay? Now, unfortunately for these guys, I don't know about Tommy. Tommy may not be as liberal as I think, but he's certainly he's a person that's overseas, Europe. They're more liberal in general. Tommy's going to have to deal with the fact that in a couple years it's going to be probably Trump again. Not that I want him to be. Hopefully nothing happens with this, with any further with the Ukrainian thing. But anyway, just let me know what you think in the comments. The guy that, if you just look on Twitter, if you want to look it up, it's Tommy Smyth, I guess, ESPN. He's a blue check mark guy, so you should be able to find it. And you should be able to see all the tweets there. If somebody wants to know about it, or I can do a screenshot and I can send it to you if you want to see it. I just don't want to sit there because I have a problem reading stuff because of my stroke, and I don't want to have this response. Basically, I called him out and the show for being political when they're football pundits, and they got upset by it. And then we had a conversation. He didn't really respond to anything I said. I said a few things, and he immediately went to, I'm the victim because I said that you might have friends or acquaintances that might have been involved with stuff decades ago in Ireland, and should that mean that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing right now? So, again, I'm not defending women. I don't get to defend a billionaire. It's just the virtual skiggling that goes on. It's like, and it's on both sides now. I mean, we sat there just a couple days ago. We had a State of the Union here, but it wasn't. It was State of the Union Ukraine. 40% of that, or excuse me, 60% of the entire speech was about the Ukraine. And okay, that's important. But everybody on both sides was, oh my God, the Ukraine. Oh, and I'm sure, yes, right? There's something more to that. And if somebody wants to have a video about that, I'll research it and we'll talk about it. It's just not everything you think it is. You know what? That doesn't make me crazy or foolish. And I'm not going to sit there and never say anything. Or excuse me, I'm never going to sit there and defame my views when it comes to America first. So I am America first. All right, you guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.